we're back on Morning Line. Thanks for joining us on this Monday, everyone. With me is Tim Takacs, elder law attorney. Always glad to have him on. The number is 737-7587 if you want to join in the conversation. We'll hit on some topics that may affect you. You're welcome to join in and ask a question. We wanted to pick up with Taylor's question again on finish up what you were talking about the revocable living trust and why you would perhaps choose to go that route instead of going with a will.
Well, for one is that probably the most important reason why people come in and want to talk about revocable living trust is they want to avoid probate. All right, and people say, well, okay, what's probate? You know, why should I avoid it? All right, so when people die, and if they own money or property, then unless their estate is set up in such a way that it will not go through probate, or they have no money or property.
Now, probate's court.
Probate is court. Yeah. Where literally what probate is that I like to think of it as it's court-supervised estate administration. Okay. You know, that's like the little fancy little term.
Gotcha.
Okay, so here you are, a resident of Nashville, Davidson County. You die. You know, the family members go down and see Judge Kennedy and say, Judge, you know, my mom passed away. You know, and she maybe have a will. Maybe she doesn't have a will. But the point is that now you have an orderly administration, you know, court-supervised administration, you know, of mom's estate.
Do you have to do that?
Sometimes you have to. Okay, now the question is that okay? Now let's talk about this for a minute.
Yeah.
All right, is that why do you need a judge to help you with that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, I would think
when you think about it is that, well, now
unless
maybe
the will's not clear, or there's someone's contesting it. Why do you need the judge?
Maybe the will's not clear. You know, someone's contesting it. You know, maybe somebody comes out of the woodwork and says, "Oh, I'm a long lost child," or whatever it is, and I'm entitled to a share, or whoever, or whatever. Or maybe there are creditors that are coming in and saying, "Well, Mom owed us money." Mm-hmm. Well, you know, I can say I'm going to say that probably 95% of the probate estates that are opened up in Davidson County have none of that stuff. It just goes through, you know, and then so, you know, there's court, you know, it takes 6 to 9 months typically to open and, you know, to finish a probate. Okay, and so who's that system primarily benefit?
The family? What?
Okay, you're looking at them.
The lawyers. Oh, the lawyers, because there's money involved.
Yeah, I mean, you go hire a lawyer. I mean, because it's basically
so there's cost involved with probate. Doesn't that just come out of the estate?
Oh, sure it is. But then if it comes out of the estate, that means that's money that children don't get.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Okay,
you know, so there's a few $1,000s that
that's motive not.
That's
to
a good
go
motivation to do that.
Probate. Yeah. So you can avoid that by doing.
And so if you set up your estate the right way. Now, you've heard me say this before, though, Nick. Is how does property pass when somebody dies? There's 3 ways, right? Mm-hmm. You've heard me say this before.
Right.
One way is by operation of law.
Okay.
Okay. So let's say that. Okay, you and your wife, you know, you own real estate. Mm-hmm. Okay, her name is Debbie, right?
Right.
Okay, good.
Yeah, you got it right.
I know.
Yeah, very good.
We've been to that before.
Yes.
You know.
All right. So yeah.
Hopefully she's watching here. So you've repaired the last time that we went through this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. So you pass away and you own the house together. Now, by operation of law, your interest automatically goes to her.
She's my wife. She gets it.
Right. Because the way it's titled. The way it's titled.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Now, let's say that, okay, then Debbie passes away and she owns that house, you know, and you're dead already. You know, now who does the house go to? Goes to your children. By operation of law, title to real estate automatically passes to children, heirs at law. Okay, they don't have to do anything to make that happen.
Right.
Now, suppose that your wife goes, well, I want to make sure, since I've got young children, you know, if I die first, you know, or die after Nick does, you know, that there's something set up for our children. You know, so she creates a trust, let's say a revocable trust, in which if she passes away after you do, you know, then there's a trust for your children already set up. It doesn't go through probate. Okay. That's the revocable trust that we're talking about with Taylor.
Gotcha. And when you say revocable, meaning that you can go back and alter it, right?
You can change it.
Whereas there's others that
the other types, irrevocable trusts, are irrevocable or irrevocable, depending upon
Is there
where
a reason why you would rather go that route? Than
well, sometimes people you give away control. Mm-hmm. Right. So you put assets into a trust, and if you can't get them back, you've lost control over that asset. Okay.
And we have one viewer that couldn't stay on the line, but he wants to know: can a trust be contested like a will?
Yes.
It can.
Yes.
Same way.
Same way. I mean, now. Yeah, because people might say is that, well, you have to have some mental capacity to be able to create a trust. Uh-huh. And if you're not able to do that, or you're under undue influence of somebody else, then that can be contested just like a will.
Gotcha. Okay.
So property passes by operation of law. It also passes by contract. And that trust document, the revocable trust, is a contract.
Okay.
So when Taylor passes away, his daughter becomes successor trustee, then by contract, she's obligated under that trust agreement to distribute the trust assets in the way Taylor instructed.
Okay.
All right. Another way of a type of contract is a life insurance policy. You name a beneficiary. You have a bank account which is payable on death. That's a contract that you have between you and the bank. So a lot of times, people don't need to set up a revocable trust. They don't need to go through probate. Just by the way they title their assets, or by having bank accounts and other assets that are payable on death to somebody else, they're not going to go through probate at all.
What's the third way?
By an instruction. Which
is that a will?
Which is the will.
Okay, so the third one would be a will.
Right.
All right, well, hopefully that helps answer the question for Taylor about what his options are. But I can see how for some people that works. I mean, to put one of these together, they contact someone like you, you put those together?
Right, and we think about it as, okay, most of our clients, they think, oh, well, if I have a will, I'm going to avoid probate. And I say, au contraire. If I was in France, I would say au contraire. Right? No, since we're not in France,
you say,
sorry.
Not for sure. Yeah.
Right, it ain't going to happen that way. If you have a will, it doesn't guarantee that you're going through probate. But if you have assets that are subject to probate, which means they don't pass by operation of law, they don't pass by contract, the only other way they're going to pass, is by will, or basically go through court.
Okay. And that's where the judge has to
That's where the judge says, okay, I've got this piece of paper that says Altama. Remember, that's like
that's my favorite one.
Your favorite one.
Altama on a napkin.
On a napkin. So now that's a will that's in your own handwriting. Now Debbie's going to be really angry if she sees that.
And so then the judge has to look at that and determine whether or not it's legitimate, and then to divvy up the money that way. All right.
That's the way it works.
All right. Again, the number is 737-7587. Questions or comments? We're just days away from the deadline for paying taxes.
We are,
And I know you've heard from some folks on this, some of your clients, some of the issues, concerns people have, especially the elderly. You said when you sat down this morning with me that there are a lot of folks that are older that don't have to pay taxes.
Exactly.
What do you mean by that?
Well, what it means is that they're not working.
Okay.
All right, they're retired or whatever it is. They're 75 years old, and maybe all they're drawing is Social Security, and maybe a pension, a modest pension or something. Okay, so here's a 80-year-old person who is living on $1,200 a month Social Security and $500 a month pension from the little the company they work for several years. $1,700 a month.
Okay.
They're getting. That's it. They have minimal savings, or maybe they do have savings, but it's not really generating much interest income. So literally, when you add up all the numbers and all the exemptions that they get, it's like they don't have to pay taxes. That's very common for older people, who have a minimal amount of income.
They're living on a fixed income. They're not bringing more in, so they don't have.
They don't really have to pay taxes.
Now, I know in some cases, do you still recommend they file? Or
no.
No reason to.
Right. Right. I have people that, children or their family members, or maybe the older person themselves say, do you still file a tax return? Oh, no, I haven't paid for several years. I went to see my accountant or my tax preparer or H&R Block or whatever, or whoever tax preparer is, and they say, you don't make enough income, you don't even pay taxes. Well, shouldn't I file a tax return anyway? No. If the IRS wants you, they'll find you.
That's true. They will. But I think the fear then is for a lot of them, if they've been paying taxes all their lives, they're thinking we should still do this.
Right.
And if I don't want the IRS to find me and say I did something wrong.
Right. And the IRS, remember, part of this whole apparatus that we have is that if you are if you're earning income from somewhere, the person that's paying you that income is sending a report to the Internal Revenue Service.
Right. So
hopefully they do that here at Channel 5.
Yes, they do. Well, of course. They know what I made.
I hope so.
Of course they do.
Right,
so,
exactly.
So the idea then is that if someone's doing this for you, if you're working, you're going to get a form in the mail to do your diligence.
Exactly.
And if you don't get that, don't worry about it.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And it very seldom happens. In fact, I can't remember when I've seen it happen where, an older person comes and says, look, I got this letter from the Social Security, from Internal Revenue Service. Now, having said that, let's talk about that.
Okay.
The Internal Revenue Service only communicates with you by mail, snail mail.
Is that right?
Yes.
I mean,
that's the way they. If they think you owe them money, they will send you a letter.
Okay.
All right. And you may have done stories on this, but it's a good idea if you haven't. That might be something for.
Well, we do have programs with the IRS.
Right, and that's good. And they hopefully they talk about the scams and whatnot because, even my mom got a call.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that happens all the time.
Right,
People
and we always tell people,
we
say is, you do not get calls from the IRS.
Right. Or from most agencies, you just don't.
Yeah.
But and you can communicate with them now through
Absolutely.
their website. They've got a great website. But in terms
Right.
of that, they're going to contact you by mail, and it's going to be official looking. You're going to know what it is, and there's ways you can check it.
Ways you can count. Yeah, exactly. That's the way that works. Now, let's talk about, and I know we have a call here if you want to take it.
Well, what we're going to do, I'll finish your thought, and then we'll take a break. We'll take the break, and we'll also take the phone calls. We've got the number open, 737-7587. More. I want you to finish your thought on the IRS, and then we'll get to the phone calls right after this. Stay with us.